the Happy Hour podcast with your host, Joel Fleischman.
Hello, welcome to Joel Fleischman's Happy Hour podcast, episode number 44. I am here with my friend Andy Hopp. How are you doing, Andy?
Good.
Hey,
Real
we
good.
already are falling apart. So, famous number 44 is episode 44, sports.
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron, easy one. Great call. James Starks, was he 44? Yeah, 44.
Jerry West, Reggie Jackson.
You know who James Starks is?
Packers player, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Running back, basically won the Super Bowl.
Really?
He really was hot.
Was that the one against the Steelers?
Yeah, he was good in that Super Bowl run. Really good. I'm stopping. That's like a mic drop with Hank Aaron. I'm going to quit playing.
There's actually a more famous 44. Internationally famous Formula One race car driver, Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, wow.
He's 7-time champion, going for 8.
I didn't know you were a race guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Sheboygan near Road America,
Yeah.
so
You
my
go
dad
quite
took
often?
me to Road America as a kid, and I would go. Yeah.
You still go?
Yep, occasionally,
Yeah.
not as much as I used to.
Yeah.
but-
All right, well, cheers. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Sponsored by Central Waters Brewery in Amherst, Wisconsin. If anybody from Central Waters is listening, or Jason Blinker, we are almost out. We're down to like the last 2 cans, so send me more beer, please.
Thank you, Jason.
What do you think?
Not bad.
I had the Doppelbock, which is a pilot series. Very, very good.
I have Hurricane Dan, Bare Bones Brewery,
Oh yeah, that is
Fear
not.
No Beer.
That is not out of Central Waters.
Uh-oh.
So that is out of Oshkosh. Okay, bare bones. Yeah, it's up on 10 there.
Okay.
All right, interesting. I don't know why we have that one in the fridge. So again, more Central Waters beer. Appreciate it. Thank you. This is usually my wife says she tries to watch the podcast, and then the second it's done with beer, she's just done with it.
So we've already passed the
Yeah.
highlight for your wife.
So listening to podcasts, most people usually do a bio of the person, and then we get into it. But I like to have the person themselves talk about themselves. So go ahead, Andy.
Oh, well.
Who are you?
Who's Andy Hopp? I'm a father of 5. I have 5 amazing children. My oldest daughter is actually a biochemist who is married and lives in France with her husband Franck, who's a university professor, and I have 2 grandkids,
That's
George
crazy.
and Maxine.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
really, it's really cool, but it's also really hard that my grandkids are that far away.
Yeah, for sure.
That's rough. My second daughter, Rachel, she's an audiologist who lives in Phoenix, Arizona, with her husband Craig, and they just bought a new house there, so it's really nice to go out and visit them. She's got a great career going and a wonderful new home they just bought. Our son Alex is going for his doctorate at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. And he's actually it's in history with emphasis on Southeast Asian studies. He's kind of unique because I would say he's a short, stocky white guy who can speak Hmong, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you have smart children.
Yeah, they're all smarter than I am.
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah. Our middle son Sam, he's a tennis coach. He's bound and determined to make money playing tennis, and so far he's been able to do that. Right now he's going for his master's degree at Lakeland College, where he's also the assistant tennis coach there. He also coaches the high school tennis team at Sheboygan North, so it's fun to see him when he's on
Crazy diversity, huh?
A tennis coach, someone who speaks a different language,
Yeah.
and someone who lives in
France. Yep. And then our youngest son, Abram, he's an Eagle Scout, and he's now a
An
sophomore.
Eagle Scout, isn't that really hard to achieve?
Yeah, it is. We're really proud of that he was able to do that. And now he's a sophomore at University of Wisconsin-Madison. He's in the business school there and continues. He's got an internship going right now with Eat Street, which I think is pretty interesting. Works at Festival and HR there as well. So
What's Eat Street? Food truck?
Yeah, like
cool.
doing deliveries.
There's a food truck in West Bend in the Menards parking lot the other week. There's a taco truck.
Yeah, there's always different ones there.
Really?
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, who's Andy?
Who's
we gotta
Andy?
go quicker too. This is only 45 minutes. Shout out to the kids, obviously.
Yeah,
we gotta skip this up.
Well, I grew up in Sheboygan and got interested in building when I was a junior in high school. So that was back in 1975. I started working for a local contractor building homes. and continued to work for him through high school, and then I went to school for 2 years, college, University of Wisconsin in Sheboygan, extension there, and that whole time I continued to work, and finally decided I had had enough of school and just wanted to work and do that. So I started as low man on the totem pole, and worked my way up to be the lead man, the foreman of the crew. Ultimately, I went into business for myself and really enjoyed that. I became actually a design build general contractor. So I would actually, the people would come to me having purchased a lot. I would design the house and then build it for them, which was really fun, really cool. That's like the ultimate experience.
What's the name of your?
Andrew Hopp, general contractor.
Oh, that's just a cool name. Okay, keep it going.
Yeah,
keep going.
really. Not much for marketing.
No, that's good. You had a cool name is what I mean.
Yeah, and then I continued to do that, and something neat in that process was I was up to like having 6 employees, built over 20 houses in 1 year, but it was so much of a rat race that all I did was run from job to job. I didn't have the enjoyment of actually working on the job. So ultimately I decided to, rather than just burn through all of that work, to slow down and do more on every project and scale down the size of what I was doing. Until ultimately my dad retired, and after he retired, he ended up coming and working for me, and we spent 5 years, it was me and my dad working together. And I know you get a little bit of that working with your dad, and I'll tell you, that is just something really special.
Was it? Yeah, was it?
That was so cool. All day long we could talk to my dad. He was a retired corporate attorney, so we had tons of stuff to talk about, and it was just really neat and precious. However, that came to an end one day when we were driving to the job site, and my father had a heart attack while he was sitting next to me in the truck.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it was really tough because the heart attack created a lack of oxygen to his brain, and then he had a brain injury, so it was like he instantly had dementia.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh,
And so that was really rough for our whole family.
Yeah, of course.
Devastating for me to
Yeah.
lose my dad as he was, and my best friend.
2 seconds.
So I share that because you should appreciate every second you have with your father.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's deer hunting weekend, so it's always a great time to look back and appreciate what you have. When you're with, I go with my nephews and my dad, and have hunted with my dad every year. Yeah, it's great to see,
Yeah, it is.
And now I'm the dad,
Yep.
right? And I'm 47, and now my dad's 70. So it's interesting because he was, I hunted with my dad when he was 47. So. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, the cycle of life.
It really is. It's very interesting. Yeah,
and so cool to
Yeah.
now pass that on to your kids, and
yeah.
what you learned from your dad, and that. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And at the same time, so right around that time that happened, I had actually was more involved in my church on an ongoing basis, and ultimately felt God's call to go into the ministry, and an opportunity opened up at our church. And so I went into full-time ministry for a good 7 years, which was just a fantastic experience.
This is as you're raising your kids.
Yep, yeah.
Right.
And so it was really terrific. It was an amazing time, really cool. But everything, for everything there is a season, and ultimately I decided to leave the full-time ministry and went to work for Habitat for Humanity, which was really cool because that was kind of combining the two. You were working for a nonprofit, but also building homes. And that was a big adjustment because Habitat, it's not about what you get done in a day, it's about how much you can teach everyone in a day and how you can articulate the vision of Habitat, to end homelessness and poverty housing, which is really a cool thing. I love that job, but the problem was it's nonprofit, they couldn't pay. So ultimately, I was offered a position at a small lumberyard in Sheboygan County, and went to work there as design and sales manager for 5 years until I felt just like it was time for a change, and reached out to John Washotko in Kiel, and John said, Andy, there's a lot of good people that work at Drexel, and I'm like, okay, let's see what it's like, and then I interviewed with you and back in February.
Yeah, so you've only been here 8 months, 9 months, and you are now
the design experience leader.
Design experience leader, which is you came up with that own title, design experience.
Yeah.
We're changing things from service to design, And we're going to get right into that real short. If you're watching the podcast to know what's going on with design in Drexel, we'll get right to that. Before that, getting a little bit better to know Andy, maybe even a little bit better to know Drexel, a little bit better to know myself. What's it like, because a lot of people haven't, what's it like to be interviewed by Joel?
Incredibly intense, right?
I just interviewed a guy today, I think he shit his pants.
It is.
And he's a 31-year-old guy. He was a little nervous. He was very nervous coming in, and then we had a store leader, Lips, hi Steve Larson, come in a second after. He's like, "What other questions you have? What other questions you have?" And like, Steve's like, "The guy didn't say a lot." I'm like, "I think he was frozen in fear," and we kept pumping him for more questions. And he's like, "I'm good. I'm good." So yeah, explain what that means though.
Yeah, but our experience was really unique because you interviewed two people at one time.
And we were recruiting as well,
Yeah.
so it wasn't just an interview,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, you're interviewing, you're still seeing if it's a good cultural fit, if it's the right humans. We don't just recruit random folk. So.
And believe it or not, you have a reputation outside of this team of being, kind of somebody, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah,
just
what
intimidating.
What is my reputation?
Intimidating, a little, you never know what you're going to get.
Like more, like this is good for Holden too. This is good for everybody. Good for me. But be honest, like I know you're an honest guy. So intimidating, like ruthless, intimidating, like wild card, intimidating, like fast talker,
Presence.
gunslinger. What?
Just like your presence. I don't know.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like, what's the reputation, especially against with the competition? where
The
you're at?
competition kind of views you as like, like just being this evil, ruthless competitor.
Yeah, right.
We don't, stay away from him. He's just crazy and he'll do anything to defeat the competition.
Joel, have
Yeah,
you seen
like
the
the
show
New York,
Billions?
the Yankees of the '80s.
Have you seen the show Billions?
No,
It's about this hedge fund manager versus lawyer, and you remind me of the hedge fund manager. His name's
is that good or bad?
it's a good thing.
I feel like sometimes we're like the Patriots.
His name's
right?
Bobby Axelrod.
So I'm a sports guy. So I feel like we're more like the Patriots,
Probably.
right? Like Bill Belichick. Like I really don't ever be a Patriot. Don't give Bill Belichick an inch. He'll take it. Watch out for that dude. And then you're on the Patriots. You're like, oh, dude, I always wanted to be a Patriot.
Yeah.
Like it's the best thing in the world to be a Patriot. And you're like, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit like that.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't understand the perspective. Now that I'm on the inside, I'm like, well, I'm still very often intimidated by your presence, right, Holden?
Yeah.
You have this presence.
To me, right? Like I'm just me.
Yeah. Well, I think because you think so fast that you're ahead of the rest of us. I remember as we were interviewing right over there, and you were going through your vision, your North Star vision for the design and estimating and all of that, and I was like locked in listening, and I couldn't keep up, and Chris that I was with, he's like, Andy, I looked at you and you were like focused in, you were like following him, and I'm like, no, I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, Chris is and then I do see like people just go like, I'm drifting because I lost you so long ago, and you're so passionate about what you're saying, but I'm gone, bro. Like, good talking to you. Like, I'm out.
Kevin Soik decided this way. You think like all of us think, just twice as fast. You're twice as fast as we are.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not, but again, that can be a curse and a blessing too, because I'm past the conversation. The conversation hasn't even been had yet, so it's kind of a curse and a blessing, I guess, in some ways. So.
But what I thought was cool, what impressed me, is you had a vision, you had a plan, and at that time I wasn't exactly sure if that was going to be the way to go, or if it was going to be successful. But Chris and I talked afterwards, and we're like, but at least he has a plan, and we think it was really good that you had a plan, and now we could join the team and be part of making that plan happen.
Isn't it wild to create something out of dust?
Yeah.
Out of energy, out of nothing.
Yeah.
Like we created this whole design service holding out of nothing. Like you haven't had that many opportunities. I don't feel education gives people many opportunities to create something out of dust. Your dad has his own business. I mean, you just invent it, right? We just invent things, and then it's like it's an invention, which is a nothing. An invention is still not a business. It's still not a thing. Now it's just an idea. But to make an idea to fruition is, I think, again, for some people, very, very intimidating, very wild, very crazy, because I just want to do my job the best of my ability. But so much more rewarding. You've been through this process now. Are you finding that? And again, be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's so cool because we could see in the marketplace of residential design, especially in the context of lumberyards, we could see that our customers weren't with us. We were disappointing them. You know, Drexel is all about supplying happiness. And in the design department, over and over again, we were not able to continue the excitement that people came into our establishments with. You know, they come in and they are excited. They've had this vision. They've had this idea. You know, I always wanted to build this dream home. I always wanted to do this addition. I always wanted to do this and have this idea and this vision. And then it's like, okay, and then we bog them down in the details, and we give them lines on the paper which they can't understand, you know. It was way too old school. We weren't keeping up with what people were seeing on TV, what people needed to see. And that's so what we're doing here with this going to this experience and the visual modeling of all of our projects, that is just so cool for people to see. It's just transformational. It's what the public needs, what the public wants, and we get the opportunity to take these people who come in with a dream, and we get to put it together so they can see it and work with them along the way. We get to educate them. You know, that's one of the things that I think a lot of times people forget. It can be really intimidating for someone to want to build a new house or put an addition on or whatever it is, because they don't know the process,
and
right?
also the industry terms.
Yeah.
Do you want double hung or single hung? Double hung or single hung casements? Which one? You know, check the box. I lost you at window.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like we lose them in industry jargon. Do you want a hip roof or do you want a gable roof? Roofs. That's on the top of the house. And so we quickly lose people in industrial jargon. I used to call that job dream killing.
Oh, yeah.
But the first thing you do is we're going to kill your dream.
Yeah.
We talk reality, we're going to talk budget, we're going to draw some 2-line items that you won't understand. We're going to talk industry jargon, and we're going to lose you. Your excitement's gone, we killed your dream, but we're still going to take your money and build you a house.
Yeah.
Horrible, right? Horrible. So Holden is dying, I can see over there, just so excited, thrilled. Where are we going with design? What does this mean?
What this means is what we are going to do. The people come in and we literally will model their project for them. In our new design software, it's not just the printed plan like everybody's used to. We're still making that. We still need that.
Well, you know what that
in
means,
the end.
right?
The
Like
blueprint.
the
Yeah,
blueprint, right.
yeah. It's actually not blue anymore, you know, but we still call it blueprint.
So do you know why it was
Lines
called the
around.
blueprint?
Because they used the blue.
Well, there was a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I bet Andy can say it better than me. I used to fill the machines up.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
I used to dump that in. Explain what blueprint is. I know you have better words than
I don't know. That's at the beginning of my day as well. But yeah, you had a skin and you put it in with the paper and the solution, and you had to run it through twice to get it to come out on the paper, which would turn to
sometimes
blue.
more than twice. I had to make those. So a builder would call for 7 copies, 5 pages, 35 pages. And sometimes it'd be more than twice because you'd have to run it. And then sometimes it'd be too dark, and that was junk, and then you'd have to lighten it up. And then it would smell because it had that ammonia smell. You know what ammonia smells like? Oh, it's awful. It's like very acidic, I think would be the term.
Yep.
You would know if you smell it. It's like you have dehydrated pee. That smell. That's ammonia. I gotta drink more water. Anyways,
So,
girls,
that was
that made it blue.
Yeah. And so that's been replaced by literally just printing it or using a plotter to print it. It's a printed document now. It's just a large format printer.
Okay.
Right. Interesting, different concept. But anyway, so we were drawing in 2D lines. Keep going with the process.
Yeah. So now, with our new software, we actually build a model, and it's a parametric building model. And everybody gets all hung up on what is parametric. Well, parametric simply means it's connected, right? And as a builder, we know that everything in a house is connected, right? The floor system is connected to the foundation. The foundation or the walls then are connected to the floor system. The roof is connected to the walls. All of that works together. And with this new modeling software, when we move a wall, the roof moves and everything else moves with it, right? So it is an accurate model representation of what is going to be actually built. And as it's a little more challenging for us as designers because we have to kind of draw it and create it the same way it actually gets built. And part of the benefit of that is ultimately, and this is your North Star vision, ultimately the plans that we draw, this model that we create, can then go to the estimating department where they can to make a material list based on our model. And from there it can also go out to the truss plant who can do the structural design of the trusses. The way it is now, we draw the same house plan 3 times over.
4 if you include I-joist.
Oh yeah, 4 if you include I-joist.
So you actually remodel it, like actually build it. So we're taking it from like that blueprint look to like HGTV.
Yep.
Does that make sense to you, Holden?
Yeah.
So we, as designers, we will create that model. Now that's kind of like a black and white view of it. It's really kind of the structure of it. But then we also have these virtual selection coordinators, these virtual designers who can then paint the model. In fact, like put the color of the siding on, paint the walls on the inside, put the flooring in, and they can turn our model into what's on the screen now. So Holden, if you want to kind of show everyone what that looks like, because this is really cool.
So a huge labor shortage. Our lead times are already too long. That's a second problem with our industry. So lead times are going to get way longer with this process?
Not necessarily way longer, but it is, we're doing more work up front to save time at the back end.
But we do have a system in place that the lead times would actually come way down. What's that about?
Hopefully, yeah, we'll have an ability to do small revisions, have someone or a team of people in the background that will do small revisions within a day or 2.
But you also have a catalog of plans.
We have a catalog of plans. We're going to have a database of plans, and these are like plans based on what's being built today. It's the modern trends. It's what all of our designers, we have this amazing team of designers, 17 designers across at the different locations that went through the plans they drew and came up with, hey, these are the things that people are looking at building today. Let's make a collection of these plans that then we can share with our builders, and we can work off of this database of plans.
Design builder membership.
Yep.
So they pay a monthly fee. They can access the plans through a code. They can see all the plans. The homeowners themselves can pick it out, have all the thoughts done, and saying this is the Camelot that I want, right? So looking at the Camelot right here, correct?
Yep. So this is one of those models
Go ahead, Holden. Do a couple
that will be
flips.
available on our website.
So you go to our website and see one of these models, and like, boy, that's cool. I can make a couple changes. Those will just take a couple days,
Yep.
and you'll have your plan. Go ahead, and eventually we'll actually have this priced out as well, so you know you're budgeted for the materials at least. Look at those details. How cool is that, Holden?
You guys make these like, damn,
What?
that's like, how do you, so you make these just from like
Scratch,
all the
yeah. They use a software called Revit, but they're all buildable. These aren't beautiful pictures. This is actually going to be built exactly to these specs. You can actually flip this into what you would consider a blueprint or a buildable plan.
Yep.
that probably makes it a lot easier for them to
I think there's a
understand.
video attached. Can you play the video, Holden? I saw a link with the video. Play that.
Click on that one.
That's going to be cool. I have a feeling. So if your parents built or you built, that would be their house. So much better to visualize what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the 2D printed plans, you can't see when things come out at you or are flat. Everything looks on a flat plane. In these 3D models, you can see the detail, how far out the garage is, how far back.
Just say pause right there. Go back. Yeah, right there. See how deep that garage is? You would never know that on a blueprint. That might be too deep for somebody. Like, well, I don't want them to walk all the way. Well, you have a really big garage.
Yep.
Well, does the garage have to be that big? Well, no, it doesn't, but you have a big pickup truck. Maybe you need to have another shed, because if you don't like that, we have to think about this.
It'll really help people understand what that plan is really all about.
Are there interiors on this one?
Yep. Yeah. If you keep going, Holden, then we go on the inside as well.
Look at that. That's your great room. See how the mirror? One of the coolest things I think is see the glass how it mirrors the inside.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. Just keep going. There's a couple more. Keep going through.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
There's your
and then
kitchen.
there's a video.
So hey, will the table be big enough where we're designing it?
Yep.
Let's watch the video. Oh my gosh, look at that book. Oh, just crazy.
Oh my god, I got a whole house.
Yeah. And you can see how the beds are going to fit in the bedrooms, how low the windows are in relation to the end tables, all of that kind of really cool stuff.
What do you think, Holden, when you watch it?
That'd be so easy to understand what your house is gonna look like.
And imagine how geeked up you'd be, right? Like, that's gonna be our house. I'm gonna live here.
How do you like get it exactly right from the blueprints? Like,
That's what we do. Yeah, that's our model is then dressed up to look like.
Well, they go
this.
to college for it. We had software called Revit, and then we had just we did the music. We can talk about it. So what we did at Drexel, and crazy, like so we do some crazy stuff that we don't give ourselves credit for, maybe, or maybe we're just crazy. We took 5 people off the grid. Off the grid means they didn't help the company at all. They worked in a room a little bit away from our podcast on white tables. Dan Evers was the first one. Shout out to Dan, love you, buddy. And he literally said, hey, and he literally put his 2 weeks in it and said, I'm going to the competition, national company, and they told me I could do some cool stuff with them. I'm like, dude, they're lying, dude. They just want your designs. He's like, I get it, but I'm frustrated here. We're not moving the needle. So I said, fine. We're going to take you off the grid. You're not going to do any design work. You're not going to do anything. You're going to develop software that does this. He had some meetings. I mean, he lost his brain a few times because first he had to look at all the software in the world, right, that could possibly do it. Then he had to pick the software that he thought was right. Then he had to build templates, and like the windows alone on there took months. They had to create each window. They had to create each door. They create each little widget and create it so we could use it over and over again on different plans. And they slowly developed it and said, is this going to work? And that was 5 people for 2 years.
So
every day, 40-hour work weeks.
Yeah, Holden, you gotta, in what we draw now, that it's actually, an actual model of it. It has the information of what it is. It's not just lines, it is an actual window with all of the included information. So it's like an object.
That's the actual building?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How long? So they're really, I love to call instead of residential designers, they're virtual builders. Yeah. The cool part is when they take that to the manufacturing plant, in Amherst, a little shoot for offsite, they virtually build a house. So somebody told me yesterday, there must be a lot of mistakes with offsite. Because the plant builds the walls and all this. And I said, honestly, there's virtually none because there's a really smart designer looking at it in a computer. And again, we do make mistakes. But looking at a computer and they're spinning it and they're studying, they're analyzing it. It's not being done in the walls or on site today when it's rainy and cold. There's very few mistakes because they're looking at it from this point on.
How long ago did you send those people off, like off the grid?
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yep, every day for 2 years. And, again, it's crazy. We talked about inventing something. So when Dan and I did this, I'll always think, Dan, he didn't know if it was going to work. He was a team of one. So let's just talk. Do you guys know what a skunk room is? You do? Yeah. How do you know what a skunk room is?
Historically, isn't that where they developed like the A-bomb and stuff?
Yeah, so the story of the skunk room is Hitler was winning the war in World War II. He had faster planes, which was a big deal because before World War II there wasn't planes. Crazy what happened the last 100 years, right? So he's literally winning the war. And again, this is we think the pandemic's bad and COVID, and it is, it's awful. It's awful, and so many lives are being impacted, and we're learning so much about us as humans. And end times, the book of Revelations, being a pastor, World War II was end times. The Americans were scared Hitler was going to be here in 2 weeks and take over and kill half of us or 3/4. We didn't know at all. So they were losing the war. So they go to the group of engineers dude, we need a faster plane. And we need it in 3 months, right? It was 90 days. They're like, what? Develop a plane faster? So it ended up being 5 guys. They got a white tent, a canvas tent outside a big factory. Imagine the old factory with the brick walls. And they didn't have really a place to go, so they got a white tent. And it stunk so bad, they call it the skunk room. And they came out with an amazing plane, but they said why it worked historically, they had a really quick deadline. They were obsessed with a mission to change the world, right? To save the world.
Yeah.
But also they were not distracted about what wouldn't work, what could work by other outside influences, right? Hey, I went to the board, this is their idea, go back, it's gonna cost too much money. Hey, this is the guys in the shop, they're there's no way I can find parts like that. No one talked to them, and they didn't talk to the outside. It was just them 5, and they were able to think and create. So Dan and I talked heavily about him being in the skunk room. I do not want you talking to Kevin Soik. I do not want you talking to our trust people. I want you to be a skunk room where you literally are just grinding Monday through Friday and figuring this out. He did a remarkable job, and then he added to his team, shout out to them, Tommy and Sam, Amber, who quit her unbelievably awesome cabinetry job and said, I'll be your very first visual selection coordinator, VSC,
yeah.
shout out to all of them. And they're all just grinding on this thing. And they had no idea. Amber's like, what's my job? What am I doing? I'm like, I don't know. I know as much as you. She's like, I want to do it. A little bit because they really believe in changing the world and supplying happiness in what we do and want to be part of that. And now they are part of the Drexel story forever. A little bit, they all are also geeked up about Paul's.homes, which we don't talk about a lot, which half sidebar, half I know Andy likes too, and we don't talk about enough here. Every time we're going to do an off-site home with all of our categories sold, we're going to build a house in Haiti for the people in Haiti. They struggle immensely with basic living conditions, 90 miles south of Florida. They have no economy, to some degree no hope, which if you don't have hope, to me it's as bad as not having love. And we can give them hope with the funds from building these homes. And we did 14 so far. Someday we hope to do 100, 150 every year. I mean, that's in 10 years, we'd have 1,000 families there. And that impacts them so greatly. They're actually such small housing and so struggling, they literally will rip their families apart. You can't see your kids from France. The children will live in other homes. The children will be orphaned because they just can't have housing for them. So it's such a huge thing. Biggest thing, it also creates jobs. There's not jobs there, so now these people need to build these homes. And they can live in a home that is resistant to hurricanes. And right now, an average family, we're all average families, they live under a tarp or maybe a piece of steel. Maybe no door, dirt floor, no running water, no electricity. In fact, we always it's like a sponsorship of families. So we sponsor the family, but you get to know who your family is. But they have a hard time giving us a picture of the family because they don't have a mail system. So let's just get a USB and just mail it back. They don't have a mail system. The mafia is so bad, we can't really go visit them because they will take us for kidnap. So it's way too dangerous to go there. So it's an incredible thing. I'm so honored to be able to do that. I know that's why a lot of them took this job. So hopefully next year, and if you're listening out there and want to be part of Paul's.homes, just build with us. Talk to your builder. Be the builder that says, hey, I'm going to be the Paul's.homes builder in my area. We don't have a builder yet that is officially a Paul's.home builder. Paul's builder, so we're geeked for that, really geeked. Have you heard this story before?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done that before, right? But anyways, a lot related to this for sure.
Yeah, so they, going back to, so in the skunk room, this was developed and Dan and Tommy and Sam and Amber all got this put together. But now we had to train our whole team on how to use this.
Almost
right?
as crazy.
Yep. So yeah, who does that? Retrain all of your experienced designers, basically put us back to square one on how we use our software and what the software is like.
While we're trying to get out planned.
While we're continuing to, yeah. So we continue to keep up with the design task log, all the plans that needed to be drawn, while taking, in small groups, we took everybody off the grid for 2 weeks to be trained on how to use this.
You went from a sports bar to Italian cuisine while staying open.
Yeah. And it was just cool. And our whole team I'm just so proud of them because they all just embraced it and said, we're doing it. We're going here. This is what our clients need to see. This is the future.
How many designers do we have?
17.
Not one team member quit.
Nope.
We kept them all, retained them all. It was stressful. Thank you to all of them for that are listening. And we're jazzed for the future, though.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where this goes.
Yeah. Everyone is so excited. We're just starting to tap into what this will mean, how we present more visually instead of with paper. So we'll be developing how we do this, but it's just so cool, the opportunities that we have to really help the clients understand what their new project is going to look like, whether it is a new home or an addition or whatever.
So give me a picture of that interior, just to kind of explain where we're not now, but this gives us the capacity to go to that point, right? So right there. So that fireplace someday, not yet, but someday in the next 5 years, which is not that far away, when you come back and build over, when you're older, you will be able to just hover over that mouse. Take your mouse and hover over the fireplace, right? Or point your clicker at the fireplace and it'll say That is an Onyx 4000. That has this many BTUs. Here's the manufacturer retail price. Here's the warranty. Click further. It tells the electrician and the HVAC guy where to plug in those holes, where the hookups are. Right now I'm going to slide it over and click on the window. That is a Sierra Pacific H3 window with this much U-value.
Will you have like you know how Google Maps has like a thing where you can like go around and look? We have one like for houses.
Yeah, where you can actually, Matterhorn I think is the name of the software. We can actually just slowly take your log and just click through the house and walk through it yourself. Yeah, that'll definitely come up. Right now we make a video, but that will definitely be available at some point.
Okay.
Absolutely. So you can just stare at it yourself if you want.
See, what Joel is describing, that's BIM modeling, so
Yeah,
building
BIM
information, right? So all of those objects that we're putting in the plan, they actually have associated with us, with them, all the information, right? The energy ratings of the window and all that kind of thing, what the finishes are, all of that. So ultimately, it'll just be, a game changer for everybody involved in residential construction.
So,
they've had it in commercial for a while,
there it is.
But we're bringing it into residential.
Will it ever get to the point where you can alter it without a designer? Like just
for some reason I knew you were going to say that. Like, can the homeowner alter it themselves? I think they'll be able to redline it. I think they'll be able to put notes on it. But I don't, again, because the software is pretty highly trained.
Yeah.
It's not just like, let me just slide that wall over and see what happens, and everybody goes poof. Because one wall moving changes a lot of things. But I do think they'll have like an edit feature, like a PDF, where you can write over things.
Okay.
Or even walkthroughs. So that.
I was thinking more like change the wall color or change something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that'll be.
But again,
that
that
could be
may,
possible.
again, Amber might say, no way, that's a lot of highly
Yeah.
skilled individuals as well. So I don't know. That's a great question. Interesting, we talked the BIM modeling, and this is already done in commercial. One thing, fun fact about Drexel, if you think Joel's smart, I really am not that smart. I just really observe and read a lot, and it's called CASE. I got that from Festival Foods. CASE means C-A-S-E. It's a good life lesson. Copy and steal everything within copyright reasons, and then just tweak it and make it your own. Right? So BIM modeling's from commercial world. It works wonderful. We just need to tweak it. And I didn't do that, but our team understands CASE too. Tweak that and make that their own. Like Festival Foods, I think people are all familiar, I'm sure in Sheboygan, hot ham sandwiches on Sundays after church. Right? That was started by I believe in La Crosse, where, I could be wrong, but
Those
wherever Festival Foods was started, which I believe was in La Crosse, there was a deli doing it. And that's a really cool idea. And Festival's like, well, they already do it, should we do it or not? They're like, yeah, we can do it, but we'll use a little better quality bun and a little better quality ham, and we'll make it our own.
I like ham sandwiches.
Game
The
changer.
ones you get on Sundays, yeah.
Literally, they did it. They had no clue if it was going to take off or not. Again, try something, fail, don't fail. Copy and steal everything. Like, you don't have to invent things. You just find what you like and say, how can I make it a little better? And it changes the game.
Yep.
You just have to observe things in life, So that's kind of what we're doing in design. How are we on time, Holden?
We got about 8 minutes left.
8 minutes. That's perfect timing. What else do you got to say, Andy?
I just think this will just be so good for our clients, for people. I remember, I brought home a set of plans one time, laid it on my kitchen counter. I was so proud of what I had done. I worked on it for a couple days. It was the perfect printed plan, right? At least I thought so. And I showed it to my wife, and she's like, oh yeah, that looks very nice. Yeah, I guess that's a nice house, kind of nodded just to make me feel good. Well, the next morning I showed her the 3D model of the same thing, and she's like, whoa, that is cool. Now that is something. When I showed one of these to my son, he's like, Dad, you have now moved from just drawing house plans to now you are showing people their new homes. It's from a house to a home, and that's where we want to get. We want to really help the people understand what their new home is going to be like.
Yeah, we're going to help every builder, every homeowner that works with us, and I hope that doesn't sound arrogant, but I'll relate to a story to my wife, and we just talked about it with a friends on last Friday night. We were building a house, and it was a big house. It's a big house where we live. And my wife wanted a roof to get bigger. She said, it's too small roof, so I think it's a 10, 12 pitch. I'm like, honey, and we live on top of a hill. I'm like, this is gonna look like a freaking mansion. She's like, no, I just think it needs to be bigger. So I'll never forget the first time we pulled up in the driveway. You know how that is when you pull up in a driveway?
Yeah.
Holden, you better. I was like,
yeah.
When you pull up again and talk about intimidating, you're like, oh my gosh, that's
It
intimidating.
like wraps around, kind of.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell? You're like, whoa, right? Like you aren't quite realizing it.
Yeah.
She pulls up and the trusses got set that day, and she goes, well, it's not going to really be that big, is it? And I love you, Pam. And it was like, but if she could have saw it in 3D.
When you're coming from the bottom of the driveway, it's kind of like towering.
Yes, the roof is probably too tall for the lot. But I was like, absolutely, it's going to be that tall. She said, well, is there any way we can do to make it smaller? It just looks so big. And I'm like, no. But again, if she would have saw the visual, I'm sure we would have a lower pitch on that roof. And a million things like that. People don't realize how big their great rooms are, can't visualize how low the windows are. All of those stories. So thank you for coming on. We could talk about this for hours. I know it. I know it. And maybe we'll have you back on when we're actually doing this. But for any builder or homeowner, please reach out to us. We want to help you.
Yeah, this is
We're not
so
offering this
exciting.
across the country, just to our local builders and the builders that buy from us and our local communities. So happy to bring this to Wisconsin. Isn't that cool, Holden?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool shit.
How long? Okay, how long have we had this for?
It's launching Jan 1, 2022.
January 1st. Okay.
Right, it's
I was
launching
gonna
to the
say,
public. So again, you went from a sports pub and grub, which you are. Is that what you guys call yourselves?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Sports bar, right? To a fine cuisine. So it's like we're ready, but we're going to launch it after the first of the year.
But so it's all ready right now.
Yep. We've already had the taste testing, and to use your analogy for restaurants, we already had taste testing. We already know the menu. We just need to launch it.
Yeah. We're beta testing everything. We're developing. We're still finishing up on that database of plans that we're going to share with everybody. That's what one of these is. Yeah. So we're just wrapping that off,
Still
getting that
tweaking
all
the
put together.
appetizers, still finalizing the garlic bread, but we're there.
Yeah.
So we always ask everybody that comes on a question. And Andy, I know you're a very spiritual guy, so I'm excited for this answer. Is you have a billboard, and if you're interested in spiritual, that's fine. I don't know if you're a deep thinker, but you have a billboard somewhere in the country, shows it to a ton of people. What do you put on it, or why?
Well, this thought about this a bit, and I would use a paraphrase of Micah 6 verse 8. I would just put, act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly. Act justly. That's about treating everyone the same. It doesn't matter if it's Joel Fleischman or if it's Holden, right? Everyone you come in contact with during the day, just act justly
better
to
than
them.
Holden? Is that what you're trying to imply?
He said treat
That was kind
everyone
of
the same.
odd. That was kind of odd. The way he said it, Joel Fleischman or Holden.
He didn't know my last name.
I felt like, he didn't say your last name.
Okay.
I was like, Holden and Joel. Act justly.
Act justly. So because everyone is created in God's image, everyone is the same, and so often we don't see people that way, right? So everyone you come across during the course of the day, can you treat them the same, whether they're like you or different than you, whether it's a man or a woman, whatever it happens to be, you just treat everybody the same.
One thing that really helps with that, which is really interesting, I love that. We're going to get to the rest of them. Is I don't know why I've been obsessed with it the last few days, just really obsessed with it, is read this somewhere. If only we always could remember and keep in mind that we're just a very, very minor character in everybody else's play. Right? Like I'm part of your life, Holden, but like if the play is your life, I'm like this big.
Yeah.
Even for your spouse.
I think about that
who
sometimes.
who I love and adore, Pam High. I'm a minor character in that play. We're all just minor players, and for a very brief point of time in the history of time, we've talked about it in the pod before, in 100 years from now, all of us will be gone. So what's the point? So it's finding the purpose in life, act justly. Again, everyone's the same, because why? Why is everybody the same? Because everyone is a minor character in everybody else's life. A minute character. Right?
Love mercy, right? Act justly, love mercy. We are so quick often to criticize other people. It's like, we think we never make mistakes, just everybody else makes mistakes, right? And to be able to, every time you see the opportunity to show mercy to someone else, to show grace to them, to forgive them, whether it's as simple, you're driving, somebody cuts in front of you, right? Okay, show mercy. You don't have to get mad at them. Maybe they're, in a rush for some other reason. Maybe they just didn't see you. If treat everyone with the mercy that you would want to be treated if you made a mistake in their presence, right? Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. So just be more about showing mercy to one another.
I thought you were going to go with mercy from God, because I think that one, more now than ever in 2021 than maybe historically, is people don't believe God gives you mercy. So you look at the Ten Commandments, or what God demands of you if you read the Gospels, what Jesus says, and you're like, I can't do that. I am a horrible sinner. I'm a horrible person. You know, Jesus says your thoughts are your sins. So even the thinking a sin is a sin. So you just literally give up. You're like, I just can't do it, God. I can't do it, Jesus. I might as well just have fun and live my life and hope there's a heaven. And hope God lets me in through the back door, right? I mean, that's what a lot of people have gotten to. But you have to remember, God does give you these laws and does give you these things, and you do need to follow them to hold yourself accountable, and because that's what God wants, and that's why you're here. But he also has great mercy. All you have to do is say, I'm really freaking sorry. And you know what Jesus says? Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Thankfully, right? We have to be thankful for God's mercy. And I do think when we are blessed with mercy from others and especially God, and we believe in that, that gives us grace and that gives us peace. And that peace that some people have, and you've met people with peace, they get that. I don't know if I've ever met a person, and I don't know that for sure, but true peace, they're usually very spiritual. Because they understand, like, no matter what I do here, God's got my back, and he's giving me mercy to fail and screw up. I think people have so much anxiety because they know they're train wrecks, and they're like, I'm a train wreck, I don't know how to get out of this. And all you got to say is, God, I'm an idiot. I'm horrible. We all are. Please have mercy on me. And he goes, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, and that's the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's
right?
the good news.
It's by grace alone that we are saved. We don't have to earn it. The reality is we are all sinners in need of a Savior. And God, in his love for us, sent his Son, Jesus Christ, to come to this earth, to live a perfect life, a sinless life, to die on the cross for our sins. And because of that, by faith in him, we are saved. And that's just the ultimate.
That was like pastor talk.
But out of gratitude, how do we live in this world? That's the rest of Micah 6:8. For you know, man, what is good.
So
what does the Lord require of you?
Mercy.
Yeah, act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
Right.
But we all need to walk a little more humbly to understand, really, like you said, we're just some little part in somebody else's life, right? In the whole big cosmic picture. We are just the clay in the potter's hand. We have a God watching over us, guiding us. He's sovereign. He's in control. What Andy does, what Joel does, what Holden does, guess what? Really, God's in control. He's got it. We just need to, just to live this way with one another. Love God, love our neighbor as ourselves.
We're really arrogant and confident about this, but 99.999999999% of the people in the world do not care that we're doing this. Don't geek out. Don't care. We'll never know about it. There's 7 billion people in the world. Like, yeah, whatever. And in 100 years, 5 years, 3 years, this all might be obsolete. Hell, it may not even work. Right? So it's okay to be excited about things and passionate about things and go for things. But again, walk humbly with that. And even if it is wildly successful, remember that it's only successful because
God was in charge. God guided us. God gave us the abilities.
Yes, I can breathe. I can see. I met a guy named Dan Evers that was great, and a guy named Andy Hopp that was great. We have this podcast, and somehow I convinced a 17-year-old to do it, like only because of God's grace and gifts and mercy and love for all of us that we're able to do it. So yeah, Joel Fleischman's an amazing dude. Hell no, only through the power of God. I'm nothing without him, right? We're dust we started and dust will return.
We are just very blessed, and Thanksgiving's coming up next week, and it's just, we have so much to be thankful for. You think of those people in Haiti, they can't even dream of a house like this, and we take things like this for granted. We grumble if we run out of hot water. They don't even have clean water.
Yeah.
It's just
we'll throw
just
away
crazy.
more food in Thanksgiving than they'll have.
Yeah.
And yet, the people that I've talked to that have been to Haiti said God is there. People are thankful. Yeah. People are blessed. So remember that, how just unbelievably blessed. I always tell my kids, we're unbelievably blessed just when we live. We're living in freaking 2021.
That reminds me of something that my
you could have been born in the year 300.
Yep.
Right? That doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. Go ahead, Holden.
That reminds me of something that my psychology teacher said, something called the glad game of this little girl who her parents died and stuff, but she's glad that something worse didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's to find the positive in all circumstances, right?
Well, and maybe we'll leave it at, or maybe we'll continue, but you know, and big thing I thought about, I just read that as well, and thought about that a lot today. We only grow, if you think of the history of men and what God does, most people only grow in their great suffering. And you think the people that you know, the people that both parents died when they were 6, they're usually, if they took it under the right way, they usually end up being unbelievably amazing people.
Right.
The people that suffer the most are usually great people. And that can be physical pain, which is unfortunate because there's nothing you can do with that. And then there's mental pain. But the people that I've met in my life that have been through the most are usually the best people I've ever met. And if you go through no suffering and pain, you're very immature. You're very egotistical. You're very confident, overly confident. You know, you don't know. You haven't been through life because you haven't been through the struggle. So God literally gives you the struggle, and you literally have to say, I'm blessed for this struggle because it'll make me better, even during the struggle, which is insane and hard and inhumanly impossible. Because it's so easy to say, hey, give me a pill, give me a drug, make this go away somehow quickly, immensely, but yet God tells you, no, you need to suffer on this planet. I'm trying to teach you something here. We won't know what that is until we end up hopefully with him.
Right.
But I think that is a fact we don't talk about it much. The struggle is real, for everybody, and everybody's got struggles, but you're supposed to have them.
Yep. And that's how we grow, and that's how we mature, and we get stronger, and God uses those things to develop our character and to help other people see that you can get through these difficult times.
Yeah, and we're gonna have struggles with this.
Yep.
But that, if we do it together with a positive attitude and supply happiness, and with our builders and with our clients, it'll be amazing. If we don't, and we aren't humble, and we don't act justly, it'll probably fail. It's like, no, this is great. I don't know why you don't like it.
Yeah.
Right, so it all kind of interweaves.
Yeah.
Hey, you get the last words, my friend. Not closing statements, the benediction. What is,
Yeah, the benediction at the end.
the last?
Yeah,
benediction?
I often would use Micah 6:8 as the benediction. For you know, man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? It is to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
Done.